One, first and foremost, I would like to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakakwadash. And I would also like to give a double honors unto the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone who do well, that have taught me this truth. And I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, unto the scattered elect, unto the brothers, the prophets, the men that are out there prophesying, laboring in this truth and in this doctrine. Unto you I say shalom. Speaking lies as usual. All right, and if you don't know by now, if you can't see through the media, through history, that Esau Edom, so-called white man, he does nothing but lie. All right, you can see something right in front of your face, and he's gonna say, "No, it was this or it was that." All right, he did this. He's doing the same thing with this America Israel joint attack on a elementary school over in southern Iran. All right, now we all know who did it. All right, but now they're saying that they could have been Iran did it to their own people. And haven't we seen this before? All right, that's what America tried to do with I want to say it was they used this war propaganda before to say this country who they want to attack and who they want to invade is attacking their own people. They did it. I think I want to say they did it in Syria and said they're using chemical warfare on their own people. So they've done this before, but this incident, okay, it's idiotic to think that these people, Iran, would do this to their own people. Okay, so I'm gonna read this, and this is from a pro Babylon Iranian website. But this narrative has been floated through various media outlets where Trump is saying that, oh, we didn't do that. I'm going to read it. He said it was done by an Iranian drone. It says, acts about reports of U.S. involvement in a deadly airstrike that hit an elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war. U.S. President Donald Trump said Saturday, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran. It was Iran who did that. They are very inaccurate with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. He's just talking out his ass. Okay, he's blatantly lying to the people. All right, and you have to have the Lord has to give you eyes and the spirit to see the bullshit. All right, because a lot of our people, they see the bullshit, but they still are stuck. They still drunk off that Babylonian wine that America is always right. The world is finding out that this place is wicked as hell. All right, the world around us, okay, everyone outside of America, everyone that don't have their red, white, and blue glasses on can see that America is wicked as hell, and all the things that are about to come to America, Babylon, they deserve it. All right, it's warranted. Okay, and you're going to have a lot of these nations are going to help eventually overthrow and take Babylon out. All right, and as the turmoil continues to increase here in Babylon, all right, as these plagues increase, you're going to see the rest of the world watch, and ain't no one going to have pity for Babylon. No one's going to have pity for this place because of their history or what they've done. All right, how they manipulated the world and deceived the world. Okay, based on what I'm going to continue to read this. It says they're very inaccurate with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. When asked by Trump for his views, however, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Salakia, Hegseth said the United States was still investigating the incident that killed 168 people, many of them children, according to Iranian authorities. And why would they take out, the little girls, children? They're Iran, their own people. That's stupid. Okay. I'm gonna go to another article where it says exclusive AI era likely led to now they're blaming it on AI. AI led to girls' school bombing in Iran. It says this week in Worcester spoke with multiple sources confirmed the military's deployment of AI led to the missile strike in the Sarjare Tayyibin girls' school in Manab in the city of southern Iran on Saturday. Now they're going to blame it on AI. Esau has all this technology at their disposal. They have satellites where they can pinpoint and see this and see that and see everything. All right, they can look inside homes, go behind walls and see, what's there and what's not there. All right, they have all this technology and they just you know, blame it on AI. Oh, it was an AI mistake. All right, it's bullshit. Okay, but you have to have eyes to see. All right, this devil at the end of the day, they're going to continue to spread lies and make the world think that, at least the people here in Babylon think that they're still winning this war, that they have the upper hand. All right, and it show you in another example to show you that this media and all this is bullshit is CNN, MSNBC. They're always anti-Trump, anti-Trump, anti-Trump. All right, they whatever and you got Fox who is pro-Trump, but through all this whole thing, you don't see these anti-Trump networks really showing the what's really going on over there in Iran and Israel. All right, they're not showing the devastation how Tel Aviv is being decimated. All right, by bombs. Okay, how they say it looks like Gaza now. All right, they're not showing you that. They're not showing you the several military bases that were bombed and the casualties. All right, this is both networks. If CNN and MSNBC were so anti-Trump, they would try to do any and everything they could to expose this devil. Okay, but you got to understand they're all on the same side because the Edomites, mainly the small hats, they bought the media. They own all the media. All right, they'll tell these networks what to say, and what is it to do? Confuse you dumb niggas. All right, like the elder Yahawah say, CNN stands for confusing nosy niggas. All right, that's what it does. Niggas think they know what they're going to get the upper hand, and they know what's going on in geopolitics, and they're going to watch, this news, this. And you got to go to arterial media to understand what the hell is really going on, and you still have to have this Holy Spirit to be able to read between the lines and understand what's the outcome of this. Okay, because the world thinks that this is just a conflict that's going to go away. America's going to get the upper hand, and then everything will be back to the same. No, this war is going to change everyone's life. All right, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. It doesn't look like. All right, because it's not going to be a ceasefire. All right, and eventually, hey, these various different countries, EU countries, NATO countries, are going to have to get involved because their finances, their economies are going to begin to suffer. All right, you just had who was it? They're not saying it, but more likely was Israel shoots a missile at Turkey, even though a missile from NATO shot it down. All right, you had Saudi Arabia get attacked. All right, by Israel. Israel shot a missile over on Saudi Arabia. All right, there was Mossad agents who are plotting to bomb several places in Saudi Arabia. So you got Israel. Esau's everywhere. Okay, and he's everywhere, and then he puts his hands up like he's innocent. Okay, but let me read a little bit more of this, just to show you that this is bullshit about the them saying Iran bombed their own people. The Pentagon is currently investigating the matter, and according to the reports, Reuters officials within the military confirmed the U.S. potential responsibility for the attack. There is no evidence at this time that the U.S. military intentionally targeted the school. A compound near the school was previously associated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. All right, then I'm going to go to this video. It says, evidence grows U.S. was behind deadly strike on Iranian school. Of course, but the U.S. wants to continue to give this persona that, we're a good nation, we're a loving nation, we're a God-fearing nation. No, this is a wicked nation. All right, they run by the wicked. All right, and the world is seeing these devils for who they are. Let me play this. This is a school killed 168 people. Look at that. Look at the mass graves. The video footage published and investigative journalists at Bellingcat and verified by the New York Times appears the estimated 175 people with children at the girls' school. They know they were behind it, okay? Because even if Israel was behind it, Americans ain't gonna throw Israel under the bus. The strike took place in Manab, a town southern Iran, strategically important to Strait of Hormuz. February 28th, the first day of the strikes. So Esau has no mercy. Okay, so you got to understand, you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, they'll do the same thing here. Okay? They'll do the same thing here, and then they'll blame it on Iranian spy or something like that. You got to open your damn eyes and see what this devil is. People underestimate the wickedness of this devil and what they're capable of. Okay, you got to wake up, man. Jake got to wake. Excuse me, Jake got to wake up out there, man. Stop believing in this place. Stop believing in Babylon. Stop thinking. See, Jake, you think you're safe. You dumbass Jake out there think they safe. Like, we in a safe place. No. All right. The Babylon is putting a target on their back. Okay. Where everyone's gonna be trying to get at Babylon eventually. All right. Let me start with Psalms 83. I mean, it's 83. That's a good one. But Psalms 58 and 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay? That's all they do is know how to speak lies. All right? Lie, lie, lie. All right? It says, what's that? Job 12. The physicians of no value, forgers of lies. Okay? That's all Esau knows how to do. And how do they back up their lies? With their fake narratives. Okay? With people um, what is it called? It's like you got people to verify your alibi. Like, no, I was over here. I didn't do that. And people, yeah, he was there. Esau got everybody. Esau has had everyone under their thumb where they control the world, they control the people, they control the minds of the people. But right now, this devil's being found out. Where people are seeing like, no, that ain't right. All right, this is what happened. Okay, you got people that are, or so-called pro-American patriarchs, all right, patriotic Americans that are going against the grain right now. They're saying they not gonna fight, for Israel. We're not gonna go die for Israel. Okay, so Esau got a lot on their plate right now. But what as we get closer and closer to the end of this, they're gonna deceive more and more and more until they can't deceive anymore until they have to use force. All right, this is Ecclesiastic, chapter 10, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he go humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So he may humble himself. He has humbled himself and say, we're going over into this country because their government is corrupt. Their government is tyrants. They're communists. Esau gives every excuse why they're invading someone else's land, and the world believes him because he's humbling himself. He's acting like he's being a humanitarian. He's helping. Okay, but his ultimate objective is to covet that land. Covet. It says, I'm gonna get it. Micah 2:1. I'll read Micah 2:2. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. They oppress a man and his house, a man even in his heritage. So how do they covet fields? They take them by violence. All right, and what is one of the main resources that Iran has right now is oil. Okay, they control 20% of the world's oil. Okay, and they provide oil for South I want to say South Korea, China, various other countries in the area. All right, but you would think that America you guys just overthrew the Venezuelan government, and they have millions and millions upon millions of barrels of oil. Why not just take theirs? All right, because Iran is a direct threat to Israel. We know Israel controls Babylon. All right, like the apostles have been saying, America's Israel's bitch. Okay, and Israel's going to do, America's going to do whatever Israel tells them. All right, so let me get back into the scriptures. I want to go from there. I want to get Isaiah. Isaiah 32. Isaiah 32 and verse 5. The vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. Okay, Esau's a vile person. All right, he's the wicked that the Bible speaks of. Okay, but he's not going to be called liberal anymore. Why? Because he's being exposed. All right, his lies, his deceit is being exposed to the world. That was one of his greatest devices, is his ability to deceive. All right, he deceived the nations. Let me grab this. Revelations 20, and I'll start at verse 2. And he laid hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which was called Devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. All right. And Esau was bound 1,000 years when they were taken out of their rulership when the Roman Empire fell. Okay. And they were bound 1,000 years. They were, that was a deadly wound that was eventually healed. Okay. And that's what the scholars and these historians call the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, when Jake was ruling during that 1,000 years when Esau was put down, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should not deceive the nations no more till his 1,000 years be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. And we're in a time of that little season. But it said he should not deceive the nations no more. And that's one of his greatest tools, even though it's wicked to deceive. I'm gonna go down to I'm on verse 7. Satan freed and doomed. And when the 1,000 years were expired, the 1,000 years during the Renaissance, the beginning of the end of the 1,000 years sprung the Renaissance. Okay, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and he shall go out and deceive the nations that are in the four quarters of the earth. And that's exactly what he did. That he deceived the nations to tell the world that he's the Jew. He's, the Most High is a so-called white man. All the apostles, the elders, elders, apostles, disciples, prophets, they all were white men. Any type of prominent figure in the scriptures was so-called white men. And they took the book and they deceived the world that they were the people. Okay? But the elect, all right, is, beginning with the elect, all right, even down to these heathens that, some of these heathens, like these MAGA Edomites that they're not going to get salvation, but they are beginning to see through the bullshit. All right, they beginning to see that this ain't the America they signed up for. All right, so let me go from there to the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, real quick, verse 27. It reads, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched." All right, no one's going to be deceived anymore. All right, no one's going to believe your lies, which you pass for as truth. All right, that's what Esau's scared of, truth. All right, telling the truth. Whether it said, I forgot who said it, but the apostles bring it out from time to time. Telling the truth is a revolutionary act. In the time of, I'm gonna look it up real quick, so I don't butcher it. Here we go. It reads, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, is a famous quote commonly attributed to George Orwell. All right, and we've been in a time of universal deceit. All right, where the world was deceived by who? The devil, Esau. All right, devil means deceiver. All right, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, and what we're doing, the prophets, is a revolutionary act because we're going against the narrative of this world. Okay, that everything that this world is about is against the Heavenly Father. Okay, everything that's in the Bible is this society, this wicked setup, this wicked world is opposed to. Okay, so this says deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Okay, the truth about everything. Okay, it's not going to be any more lies. Like by now, people should be able to see through these lies. Okay, like, oh, we didn't do that. They did it to themselves. This nigga Trump he's just a madman right now. He said some of the craziest shit. Excuse my language. He said something today where I was like, what the, he said something like, people got their legs shot off and they're walking around with no legs. Something crazy. He just has, he just says stuff and people just, they just lay it to the side like, okay, he's turned into Biden. The irony of that, he talks shit about Biden, but now he's becoming worse than Biden. Okay? But hey, and we're coming to a time where you gotta have your eyes open. You gotta be in tune with the spirit, because if not, you may succumb to some of these deceits, some of this deception that the devil is pushing out, some of the lies, And the biggest lie they're going to tell is that the RFID chip ain't the mark of the beast, and they're going to use Israelites to do it. But hey, we've been telling you, we've been pushing this doctrine, pushing this truth. So there's not going to be an excuse for no Israelite out there not to know what the mark of the beast is and not to know the times that we're living in. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful elect, and I would like to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak, Shalom.